easy for me to get over right now.
When's the first game?
September 1st.
September 1st.
They cut us back to where we're allowed 25 practices, no two-a-days. So we actually practiced tonight. We had a walkthrough this morning, and then we kind of watched the walkthrough this afternoon. And we actually, I try to vary the practice times a little bit. So we'll do that every other day. We practice in the afternoon. So we go morning, night, next afternoon. But we only have one practice, but one thing is a walkthrough. So, but it was interesting, you know, hearing you speak today about, you know, your mentality as a player and how your work ethic, your perseverance gave you the confidence to be the kind of player that you were.
Yeah.
And, you know, my comment about that is every great player that I've ever met, they all have that.
Right.
They all have talent, but they all have that.
Right. The process, you know, loving the process, loving the daily grind of it, and putting the puzzle together. It seems like, you know, this generation seems to be really concerned with the end result of things versus understanding, you know, appreciating the journey to get there, which is the most important. The trials and tribulations that come along with it. You have, you know, successes, you have failures, but it's all part of the end.
Right.
The end game. What I see a lot of time from young players is, you know, they'll try, they'll push, and all of a sudden they get hit with some adversity. Nah, you know, let me do something else. Right. Instead of staying with it, you just stay with it. You know, a lot of guys just kind of give up on it because it's not happening now.
That's exactly right.
You know, and
so it's all about perseverance. And you really can't be a great competitor, is what I tell players all the time, unless you can overcome adversity. Well, if you're going to overcome adversity, you got to be able to fight through things. And you can't really have any great victories in life if you can't fight through things and overcome adversity. And, you know, everybody wants to be the beast, but not everybody wants to do what the beast do.
No.
You heard
Yeah,
that one before.
Oh yeah.
So, but and that's the challenge. But that's what I love about the process of being a coach. You know, people keep asking me, well, why you keep doing this? Well, I really love the process of trying to put a team together, try to develop young players to take this guy's place that you lost, don't have the experience, don't know how they're going to respond. How about developing the leadership on the team and togetherness? I mean, that's really, you know, the fun of it to me. Now, it's fun to win, right, and you hate losing, but the focus is totally on what you just said, the process of how do you get there. And I think there's so many people now that they look at results, they're result oriented, they want feedback from wherever they can get it, Instagram, whatever, and then there's no focus on the process. But the process is a definition of doing the things you need to do to accomplish the goals that you have. So it's tough to accomplish those things if you're not focused on the right stuff.
At what point do you start? You know, you win a championship. At what point do you sit down and say, okay, I got to start figuring out what the puzzle is going to be for next year's team?
Well, most of the time before I get back to the hotel after the game.
You know what? I didn't expect anything less.
But it's the truth. I mean, everybody says, well, why don't you go into the after-game party? And I said, well, there's 5 guys I'm worried about going out for the draft, and I want to help those guys make a good decision about what they do. And what they do affects who we are next year, who we need to recruit, who we need to replace. And most of all, those guys have done a great job for us in our program, so I want to help them make a good decision, a business decision for their future. So that's usually the first thing that starts. All right, then sometimes, you know, helping them with agents. You know, so it's bringing closure to this team, but then immediately, what issues did that create for the next team? Probably no different than you know, you guys have free agency, you lose a great player, who are you going to bring in, how are they going to fit in your
You know
team?
what's different about us though is that we don't have that guidance. So if the guy's a free agent, for example, the team that he's currently on is not. They're trying to negotiate him down, right? Versus the mentorship and the guidance that you provide. Right? So it seems like you're attacking it from two prongs. You have the class that's now going out, that you're trying to mentor and help make strong decisions, right, for their future, and then you have to focus on the team that's coming back. Exactly. So it's like you got two challenges that you're focusing on, right, which is unbelievable. And for us, we don't have. It's more just turnaround.
Right, but it's a different mentality. You know, I spent 8 years in the NFL, so, and I love pro sports, and it's great to coach in where the greatest players in the world are playing, whatever the sport is. And, you know, you dominated for many, many years. But in college, it's more about helping people be more successful in life. You know, so it's personal development, it's academic support, it's importance of getting an education. Everybody's not going to play in the NFL. Career development, you know, and then how do you develop guys that do have the talent and everyone on your team to be the best player they can be. So, and they should use this to create a brand for themselves. They have an opportunity to create a brand for themselves, whether they play at the next level or whether they have to go get a job someday. All right, so that to me is a challenge in college that maybe doesn't exist to the same degree in pro ball.
Right. Unfortunately, I mean, it should.
It should.
It should. I mean, you know, with my kids, we talk a lot about just teaching excellence because it translates, right? Whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, whatever it is. Once you learn what excellence looks like, you can translate that into any field. Right? It's basketball, you translate it into writing, or whatever the case may be. Once you have what that excellence looks like and what that detail and attention to detail looks like, then you have a foundation that you can build anything on top of. Yeah.
Well, I think you made an interesting statement when you were talking to the team today. One of the first things you said is if you want to be successful, you got to edit your life, which is all about creating the right habits, which, some people aren't willing to make the sacrifices they need to make. And in some cases, we sometimes get criticized out there because we are sort of oriented toward helping people be successful and making the choices and decisions to be successful. And they say, well, if you go there, you won't have any fun.
I gotta laugh. That's funny. That's so funny. That's such a like an average thing to say. Like I just don't. What the hell does that even mean?
Right.
Have fun. All right.
The fun of it is knowing you did your best to do something very well.
Right.
I mean, that's the fun of it.
Right. Being excellent is fun. I mean, I have one of my good friend of mine is Nadia Comaneci.
Yeah.
And so I asked her just out of the blue, because I kept hearing people say this about her. She missed her childhood and all sorts of stuff. And I said, how do you feel about that? She goes, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I learned how to be the best in the world, and I traveled the world and saw some amazing places. Most of my friends were being children doing what? Hanging out at the mall and shopping?
Right.
What's fun about that? I'm the best in the world.
Right.
That's fun to me. So it drives me crazy to hear people say stuff like that. It just makes no sense. But
Yeah, well, but I think we live in a little bit more of a result-oriented, sort of, where do I get my self-gratification from? And do you really love the game, and do you love doing the things you need to do to be the best? Or do you just want to get some feedback over here on Twitter, about what you did or how somebody else thinks about you? And I think that's not really good for developing self and self-confidence. I think you made another great point today, is the hard work that you did gave you the confidence that you could be a really good player. Right. And, if you're not willing to do that, how are you going to ever develop confidence?
you're not. You're going to fake it. You're going to fake it until you want to go up against somebody that is not faking it. And they're going to call you bluff. And then you're going to be in trouble.
And you're going to get exposed.
Yes, you're going to be in trouble. You're absolutely going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Guys, unfortunately for short-term gratification would rather bent tents and teepees instead of taking the time to blueprint out your house, and build a solid foundation, and be patient and methodical about how you build, they'd rather just put a tent up over here and just go sleep over there and then take that down and then go over here. And that's the praise they're looking for.
Right.
So you give me a praise, oh, well, I did that, oh, great, 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 great. Let me go over here and do something else. Oh, great, 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 great.
And you know, you made a great point again today with the players when they asked you about when you first came in the league, how did you have the patience? Like, why didn't you get frustrated when you were coming off the bench or whatever? And I thought it was great that you said, with patience, you have to be impatient.
Yes.
But you can't get frustrated.
No, no. And that, yeah, for me, it was, okay, well, why am I not playing? What can I do differently?
Right.
I have to be better. I have to be better. All right, well, then that's not good enough. Then I have to be twice as good, right? And for me, it was a challenge of getting to a place where it's undeniable. You have to play me because I'm that good. I'm that efficient. I'm strong at both ends of the floor. So it actually helped me, because I was coming off the bench for the first 2 years. And it was like, okay, I have to figure this out. I have to be, right? So I use it as a source of motivation, not to get frustrated and complain and whine about it.
But you were being responsible for your own self-determination. You were challenging yourself. You weren't thinking about something else. You were taking ownership and being accountable for what you had to do so that you could be successful, which was the ultimate goal.
It's also the strength, too, of being able to tell your family members and your friends to shut up. Because they'll be in my, oh, you should be starting. Oh, you should be playing. I don't know what they're doing. Shut up. If I'm not playing, I need to get better at this. I need to get better at that. There's things I can control, and this is what I'm going. But unfortunately, there's a lot of noise, a lot of outside noise from friends and former coaches and all sorts of stuff, filling your head with nonsense. And you have to be able to have the strength to edit that and say, no, I don't want to hear it. This is on me.
Right.
And that becomes tough for young players.
Yeah, well, I think we all have to deal with that to some degree, too.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So there's one thing that you said you're coaching your daughter's basketball team.
Yes.
All right, so I really do believe wherever she goes to school, that coach is not going to have to worry about you.
No, we work really hard, man. It's simple. It's a lot of their friends kind of like, the other parents, that's too much. Well, my daughter wants to play basketball at UConn. Other kid wants to play basketball at Notre Dame. Other wants to play. Practicing 2-3 times a week is not going to get you there, right? So those aren't normal goals, right? So you can't expect people to really understand that. If you want to get to that level, you have to train at a certain level, right? You want normal results, then be a normal kid.
Right. You have to do uncommon things to be successful.
100%, and there's no other way around that. And so I wish there was a magic. Actually, I don't wish there was a magic wand because I love the process of it all. the grind.
You're the epitome of having a tremendous amount of success, but you deserve it, you earned it, you worked hard for it, and you certainly represented the game extremely well.
No, thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm super excited to come here. And, it's respect from afar. I love watching and seeing how you guys do things, and the process, and the focus, and attention to detail, and success year over year. Because, it doesn't come from, it's not an accident. Right? It's the culture you've created, how you continue to build year over year. And so I was really excited to come here and see it in person, man. So.
Well, I always love to talk to someone who has gone through the process, set a great example, been successful over a long period of time. Because I think that's something that people don't understand either. Success is not a continuum. Just because you make the All-Star team one year or you win one championship or whatever, that doesn't mean it's going to happen again. And it was interesting that the players asked, how did you keep going? But I think when you're driven to be the best, that's something, and you love the process, and you're not doing it for the lifestyle, you're doing it for the love of the game. But if you're going to continue to be successful, complacency creates a blatant disregard for, doing the things that you need to do to be successful.
Yeah, for some, victory can be your greatest enemy.
Yeah, so, and I tell you what, I really get that, and I understand that, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for someone who can do that. And for your career, what you accomplished, what you did, I can't tell you. I appreciate it more than you know, because it set a great example. And when you came in that room today, you should feel that everybody sort of has this great amount of respect for the competitor that you were. And I have a tremendous amount of respect because people don't really understand. You know, fans, they cheer and they get crazy and they go out and, you know, all have a good time after you win a championship. But it's hard to do.
Oh, absolutely.
It's special.
Yeah.
And I sort of have a special appreciation for that.